Alright, got a little tutorial, hopefully. If it works out right, I'll post it on the internet on how to install these bellows if I get a good seat on it and everything like that. I got to a bunch of easy stuff. I went ahead and replaced the 3/4 inch water inlet hose there. Some people say they had problems getting that on there, but I didn't find any trouble. Went ahead and put the order sequence on there. I'm going to do that water hose. Got it all tightened up. Got the adhesive on the U-joint bellows, and I got it all tightened up on there. The next I'm going to tackle putting on the exhaust bellows there. You need the special tool. I went ahead and bought something special to see if it worked, and we'll find out here shortly. But I'm going to get everything on the transom side glued on and tightened up and see if I can do it from there. I'll let you know how it works out, and then get the cable on there with the cable bellows as well after I get the exhaust bellows glued on. So that's the order of sequence I'm going in. I'll let you know if it's the way to go. Alright, this is pretty self-explanatory, but just in case someone's searching on here how to actually do the job before diving into it. The exhaust bellows has a clamp up there, and you can see that it's facing out towards the side of the transom. Now there's a little hole that goes through there. You kind of have to adjust it and get that bad boy on there to tighten it. So that's one way of looking at it when before diving into this project, if it's your first time, to keep that in mind. You want that clamp facing up, and if it isn't, you might want to reconsider doing it. So far this job hasn't been terribly hard for me, but that might trump some people. And again, I have something special for getting this bad boy on there. The exhaust on the gimbal housing. Alright, so you can see here, little hole, kind of a big line there. So what I did there, and I kind of learned through the YouTube market, that a little lube goes a long way. So I went ahead and put a little dab of multi-purpose marine lube on there, and let's see if I can get this in there. I couldn't exactly get it on there without with the camera shaking and stuff like that, but yeah, as you can see, I got it on there. Not hard at all. Little marine lube on there. Shouldn't do anything to damage the boot. So that's how you get it on there. Well, that's how I got it on there. Probably see a bunch of lube jokes on here shortly. Alright, so I got the inlet water hose on there. That's another kind of self-explanatory, but now that all this is bolted up, the water inlet hose is going to be the thing holding it on. Let's see here. So now I don't really have to hold anything. And then I went ahead and tucked the cable bellows up in there. I haven't used the adhesive yet. Just wanted to make sure it was going to go on there easy before I stuck the adhesive on. And then I'll tighten that up. Then put the oil line. And that'll be it for the bellows as far as hooking it up to the transom side. And then I'll start trying to get it all towards on the gimbal housing. So right now everything's kind of going smooth. I didn't clamp on this back piece here of the cable, and I still got a little bit of lube on there so I can push the cable up and through. That way the gimbal housing isn't limited to any space at this point. I can pull up and push this back in and kind of have a little more space. Nothing terribly difficult too far. So check in the box for the water hose, hook up the oil line, get the shift cable bellows hooked up in there, and then I'll start working on the exhaust and U-joint bellows. Hopefully won't run into any issues with that. Alright, so after looking at some difficult ways of getting the U-joint bellows on there and getting the sleeve on there, I kind of made one of these guys, just a little 2x4, put on a little piece of wood that I cut out with the edge on it. That way I can keep it in, and then throw it in there.
hopefully it'll go on there easy, but we'll see. It took me about 20 minutes to throw that together. Simple tools, but we'll see how it works out.
Okay, a couple things to get the yoke bearing on there, or the yoke bellows. Took a piece of wood and shaped it out to the ring that goes on there. Here's the one that I already bent up trying to get this thing on there, but what I did was cut a circle around it, get it shaped, cut the inside of it out so I can basically use this, and if you look at that, I cut a groove into it so I could slip it on. Now, I wanted this hole so I can kind of feel the inside to make sure that it was all lined up, because you gotta feel the lip on it to make sure it's on the yoke bearing itself. And then so I tried slamming this on there with a hammer, hence why I bent it up real good. And then luckily the guy that I ordered it from gave me a new one. So after that, I took a 2x4 and cut it up, and then made these little sleeves. That way I can get it and place it there. And then at this point I was hammering on it and it just didn't go on there right. So then I cut another piece of board. So if we slip this in there, got the groove that goes inside. And then I placed my 2x4 in there. And I cut this other piece of wood, drilled out the holes. Applied washers and bolts. And you see where this is going. Nice even pressure, kind of star bolts it like you would your rims when you're putting on new tires. And it evenly pressed that seal on there. Worked like a charm. First time. It was great. Took me about 30 minutes to build all the wood though. That was the painful part. Alright, exhaust bellows. Now, little trick I found, I was like walking through Walmart trying to think of something that I could use to get this bad boy on. I seen the first barbecue and it came to mind. I got some barbecue tongs, and it cost me 92 cents. Went and just bent the corners out, that way I can squeeze it in there, get in between one of those cuffs, and pull the bellows through the gimbal. So worked out nicely. Got in there. See if I can get some light in there. So hooked into a cuff. And kind of, see, I don't even have to squeeze it, I can just pull on it. See if we can get that. Pull on it nice, you know? And then while pulling on that, I got it wrapped around there, and it worked pretty good. I ended up kind of spreading these apart and using one just to kind of get in there, turn it around the cuff, and yank it around individually. But all in all, got it on there tight. See if I can get underneath here. There it is, tight. Angled the bolt down there to where it's easily accessible always. In the event you got to take that off for some stupid reason. So yeah, I got that's all of the bellows itself. Everything's on. So those are all my little tricks that I found. This is my first time doing it. It's easier doing this than working on any Harrier that I've worked on. It's how I claim my professional mechanic skills, is being a Harrier mechanic for some time. Alright, there you go. I'll keep posting videos. Alright, figured I'd include this on there just in case there was some kind of question on how to service the Yacht drive. Basically, you got 3 holes you gotta get from. You got the monitor, which is located there. That was drained when I pulled the plug to pull the actual drive unit out, so it was already drained. Although I do have the cap on it, just free up some line, just keep it from keeping a vacuum on there. So then you got this other vent line right here. Let's see. Hard to see in the dark, but my finger's right there. And then you got your drain hole right there. Okay, so I've already drained mine. That took a little while. You want to keep this after you got majority of it drained. You can pull this and it'll all fall out, and then you have to buy this pump, or I'm sure you can find it somewhere. And I've heard this is going to take about 1.5 to almost 2 to fill up the actual out drive. And what I'm doing is I'm pumping, and I'm waiting for it to kind of spew out from the top there. And then once I see it start to drip out the top, I'll plug the vent hole and then continue pumping until I can see some fluid start to develop in the monitor, and that'll pretty much indicate that there's no air in the system. And then once I get enough that I feel comfortable in the monitor, I'll just unplug everything, cap it all off, make sure all my plugs are nice and clean and the magnet's free of any debris. I'm trying to get air bubbles in here so it doesn't look like have to switch out the bottle. But then you can just pour the rest of the fluid and top it off through the monitor. So. Alright, got you can see my got a little wet residue. That means I got oil all the way up through there. Started pouring out the oil drain hole, capped off the vent, continued pumping, and then started to enter my monitor, and it's just about up there at the full line. I'm probably just gonna take off my pump at the bottom, and then I got about probably about 1/4 of a thing left, just enough to, once it gets going, if some air bubbles pop up there, we can cap it off and fill it up one more time. But for the most part, it took about 1.5 or 1 3/4 of a quart there. Okay, one last thing on the now I know, see, you can see a little magnet on top. That's going to prevent or actually keep any debris or metal pieces, collect up on there, so you know what your hard drive's wasting. One last thing I'm going to do, you see the pump has just continued to fill that up. I'm going to go ahead and throw the cap on there, and in theory it'll create an airtight. That way I can unplug my pump here, and very little, if any, should exit when I pull this thing off. So we'll hope. I'll try to see if I can do it on here. You know what? I'm gonna shut this off, and I'll let you know how it works out. I don't want to spill oil all over the place. All right, I'm gonna losing daylight here. I'm gonna do the tall tale test if you got your drive unit all installed correctly. So go ahead and throw it in drive. Come down here to where your propeller should be, and you should hear that if it's in forward. But if it's in forward, it seems like mine's gonna be a little tight, so I'm gonna have to adjust the throttle cable a little bit, but should work for now. Alright, so I got it in reverse. Probably can't tell, but the spline is moving. Go to neutral. It stopped.